Hello and welcome to the Australian Ghost Whisperer. I'm James Jennings, here once again with Caterina Legato. Hi, Cat.
Hi, James. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How's your week been?
My week's been amazing. I had an amazing house clearing to do a few days ago, and the people had moved into their house. They bought this home, and a doctor used to own the home, and turned out he ran his own,
Surgery.
Sorry. Having a bit of a dementia moment. So he was running his own. So when these people moved in, they began to feel quite sick and nauseous all the time and tired and exhausted. So obviously this house had gathered all the energy, all the vibrations of when the doctor was using it as his medical practice. So a lot of sick people were coming in, and obviously this energy was spilling out into the home. So I cleared it all, and it was like it just started to feel really bright and clean, and even the whole house, even though it was already a clean house, but everything just looked brighter and clearer. So at the end, when I went into the kitchen to clear the kitchen, I see this little doggy, so cute in spirit, running around, just those little fluffy things. Yes! And he was running around, so I kind of tapped into him, and because I love animals.
Of course.
I have such a soft spot for animals. So tapped into him, and I'm like, you're going to go home now. You're going to go home to animal heaven. So his little eyes just looked at me in spirit. And I wrapped him in some beautiful blue light and just helped him. And I could see the path as he kept running. His little soul was just running. And then I could hear the barks of other dogs.
Oh, wow.
They were calling him. Oh my
so
God,
cute.
It was so cute.
Oh.
All his little animal friends were calling him until obviously he disappeared.
Wow.
I know, it was really cute.
That's beautiful.
It was so sweet.
And a lot of people wonder if their pets pass over. So
I can absolutely reassure everybody that your pets do go to, I call it animal heaven, 100%, because what happens with animals is that they don't have that fear of dying, of passing away. Sometimes they can hang out in their home where they once lived, or they can hang around for a little while, but they eventually do cross over quite easily because they don't have that fear. And so they just kind of follow the vibes, those love vibes, and then as they get closer they can start to feel and hear the other animals, and they get so excited, and off they go.
That's so cute.
So all pets go to heaven. They continue to exist. I know it's hard. Oh my gosh, it's so hard when you're a pet lover to lose your pet. It's such a sad thing. But they actually cross over quite easily, and they're so happy, and they're surrounded by lots of other animals, and I call it animal heaven because it's just so beautiful. I always see there's just everything. There's fluffy clouds and green grass, and it really is heavenly.
That's beautiful.
There's a waterfall. It's beautiful. And animals, all different, cats, dogs, they all coexist together in spirit, and therefore they just have a wonderful time playing with each other and running around, and the sun.
Cats and dogs getting on.
Cats, dogs, all animals. It's all the one animal heaven. There's little cows, there's little pigs running around, chickens, hens, they all coexist together, big lions, big tigers.
I would so it's like
I want to visit.
It's like a zoo, but you're not going to get eaten.
Exactly. I have already put my request in with God that I want to visit.
I would like to go there. That sounds pretty good.
Animal heaven. I'm so excited when my time comes to leave this world.
Yeah, and because you've said in the past that when humans cross over, often they'll see loved ones or relatives, and the relatives, it's like a way to usher them across the threshold. So in the same way, it probably works for pets. You were saying that you could hear the dogs barking for this little dog crossing over. They're kind of like ushering him over, come over.
Exactly, they were excited. So here comes someone else.
Oh, that's cute.
It was so cute.
Yeah.
And then turns out I told the owners, and they said, the doctor did have a little puppy for so many years. So obviously the little puppy was kind of hanging around in in his home, and obviously his owner had died, and I think he must have maybe he was a little bit confused.
Yeah.
Or perhaps he was just waiting for the right moment to go home.
Yeah. Maybe he was hanging around to say hello to you.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, he was very sweet.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
Now, I'm curious, you were saying that, like, because of the doctor's surgery, a lot of energy, like negative energy got trapped there. Now, I'm really curious about this because I have so many questions swimming around my brain right now. But is it energy? I mean, obviously energy it's a real thing, and it's something that people put out, but energy, it can linger? Like I guess it's the same way as, like, if you go into a house, you might go, oh, this place feels amazing. Or if there's bad energy, you can kind of go, this place feels weird. And I guess it's the same with humans, right? Like, if you meet someone who's got good energy, like, oh, I like their vibe. And if they're a bit of a dark person, you might be like, oh, I don't like their vibe. So can you explain how energy is emitted and how it can stay? Because it sounds like it was trapped in this house.
So we as human beings, we are energy. We vibrate to a certain frequency, if you like. So if we're kind of high vibe, happy, positive beings, then we kind of hold that higher frequency, and people will always be attracted to us because we are emitting this really good high vibe that's really positive. And people who are depressed and angry and holding on to grudges and like to gossip, their vibe, their frequency is very low and it's very dark. So they are emitting that energy, that frequency, that vibration in their home, because obviously you live in your home, and so you're always emitting your own, you're creating your own atmosphere within your home based on your emotions and how you feel about yourself and the world that you exist in.
I see.
So that's how we create an energetic environment. So if you go to a home where people are happy and a loving family, you get that really nice, loving vibration when you walk in. If you go to a home where someone's really grumpy and angry and dark, then you kind of go, oh, it feels really creepy in here. So that's how that works.
Okay. But what about the energy sticking around? Because obviously this doctor and his surgery, he moved out a long time ago. So that energy doesn't dissipate over time.
No, it doesn't. Energy, because he was there over so many years, like it was probably 20, 30 years he was running this practice, energy can build. So he's constantly having people coming in who are not well, who are sick, who are depressed, who've had a heart attack, who've got cancer. So this just builds. It's like layers. So when these people that bought the home moved in, they moved into this solid energy of just sickness and unhappiness, and and he actually died of cancer himself. So, and I believe his wife also died. She had cancer. So it was quite a sickly environment, because when I walked in, I just felt this nausea, like, ugh, horrid. So when they moved in, they weren't able to, they're a lovely, beautiful, loving family, but they just weren't able to kind of fill the home with their frequency, because there was all this layers of all this depression and sickness and unhappiness.
Right. So when there's that much energy layering up on each other, it can basically hang around. Now, I guess my question is if people, like you said, if they're a loving family, can they come in and their energy override that? Or does it basically just stick around until someone like you, who really knows how to work with energy, I mean, that's what you do when you clear houses, you clear the negative energy.
It's not always about just crossing over spirits and lost souls. It is about breaking down the negative energy that's in the home. So these people were not, they were there for a while before, obviously they said they didn't even know about me, so it was kind of like a client of mine recommended me to them, and they didn't really know what to do. They just felt like they were always struggling to feel good, to feel happy, to feel that connection that they always had with each other.
Wow, okay. And then once you clear that energy out,
they felt it. Like I always, after I finish clearing a home, I always ask the people to walk through their home, to close their eyes, to tap into it, so that they can, and then they can kind of feel that clarity and that lightness and the brightness that I bring into a home.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've mentioned this before, but, when I met you, you had cleared a house that I was living in that had both spirits and a lot of negative energy trapped in there. And you did that. You got us to walk through afterwards, and the difference was
most people
unbelievable.
Feel
it was unbelievable. And again, I've said this before, but it was like you pumped the house full of happy gas. It just everything felt lighter, brighter,
nice.
and it was one of those things where I couldn't put into words. It was like,
right.
I remember looking at you and I was going, how did you do it? How did you do this?
I have so much help from my own sacred soul family that helped me, and I do connect always with the presence of God, and I just feel like I've always known how to bring that light in. It's just something that I was born with. I didn't do any courses. I wasn't taught this by anyone. I just found that, with the presence of my own sacred soul family and my guides, that it just became a natural way for me. They were showing me how to draw in light, how to bring it into an environment. And so, of course, it took me many years of learning, but so it comes very natural to me.
Yeah, it's an amazing gift.
It's a privilege to have this gift because it's made such a difference to so many people who were kind of almost ready to sell their homes or run away because they were just feeling like they were living in this constant kind of bombardment of energies and frequencies or spirits and even demonic beings. So it's helped the people in the home, the physical, and also helped the souls that are lingering, that have been lost, that are in limbo for so long. So you're helping, on a twofold situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, today we're going to actually go into detail on black magic, witchcraft, curses, which I find fascinating because they're the kind of things that you think is from fairy tales, and it sounds kind of make-believe, and it's like, well, those things don't really exist in real life, but it turns out they do, Kat.
Yes, absolutely. I've written 2 books on the paranormal.
Yep.
And I've had my own paranormal experience, which is what brought me into this work. But very much curses do exist. It's look at it this way. Most people, thank God, if you know of someone who's sick or, unhappy, you're kind of like, pray, I'm sending you love, I'm sending you light. And that person feels the love, the light that you may be sending a friend or a loved one who's going through a tough time. Because we live in this planet of duality, you can also send intentionally can send a person bad vibes. So if you'd have to be someone quite awful, but it does exist. Again, low vibe, sort of almost soulless type humans do exist on this planet, again, because of the duality that we exist in, who will send through anger, resentment, will send and curse a person by words, by thought and emotion. So if you hate someone, you're thinking of them, you're talking badly about them, you are directing them with a psychic attack.
Yep.
And if you're constantly doing this, then that person, if they are open to it and a little vulnerable and don't know how to really protect themselves, they'll start to receive that constant bombardment, because our emotions are powerful. So if you hate someone enough, and I'm not recommending that anybody do this,
no,
there's a lot of karmic consequences involved, then you're directing energy towards that person, and after a while that dark energy will build up around them. And that person begins to feel as though they're in this dark cloud, or they feel like they're in this kind of prison that they can't move out of.
That's really...
So that's one way of cursing. Then there's also intentionally done, again, witchcraft, where you start to use items of that person, photos and so on. I don't want to go into much detail because I don't want to make this a how-to.
No, we don't want to make it a how-to do witchcraft guide.
No, because it could go to the wrong ears. So
yeah.
So using that items that belong to that person, and the phases of the moon and whatever, you can really cause some real damage.
Right.
Then you've got also generational curses. So you could be born from a family that has constantly been cursed through generation, and it could have been a curse that was intentionally done to that lineage. It could be a curse of poverty, a curse of sickness, a curse of constant bad luck.
So if someone puts enough hateful energy into something, they can actually do that. They can curse
absolutely.
families for
we are
generations.
emotional beings. Our emotions are powerful. You know what it's like when you feel really happy, or when you feel really angry and pissed off at something.
Yes.
Like, ow, that's powerful emotions. So yes, you can. So if you are born to a family where there has been generational curses, then it's like almost, and I've had people come and see me, it's like I'm positive, I'm healthy, I'm spiritual, but everything constantly goes wrong. And it's because, you know, our DNA is part of our generation. So DNA contains memory. So they are still connected to the generational curse. So whether it be poverty, sickness, bad luck, chaos, whatever. Even I've seen curses where people just can't find love, or there's constant divorces, separation, deaths. So I need to cut them off from those generational curses and do work, again, without giving away how I do this, again, for the wrong ears. Is disconnecting them from the generational curses, so that they can shift into their own vibration and their own frequency and begin to manifest their own reality. And that helps heal, so they're not carrying it on through the generations, like to their kids and then their kids and their... So you are able to actually cut that off at some point.
You'd have to be a very hateful person to put that much hateful energy out to create a curse, though, right? Like, you'd have to be a very dark person to do that.
Oftentimes people will believe that they are justified in their actions.
Okay.
You will be surprised how even the nicest person can go through a bad divorce, a bad breakdown of some sort, and believe that they're justified and be so angry, sometimes even unintentionally, continue to be so angry towards someone that they actually, you know, become obsessed, and they're talking about that and hating on that person without realizing that they are actually creating this bad energy. And so that keeps the actual person that's angry locked in that anger, which isn't really good for them. And they at the same time are directing that energy to their targeted person. So it becomes a loop.
Right.
And so then that person starts to feel that someone is talking about me, or that person sending me anger, and then they start sending it back. And so it becomes this loop where they're locked in into this energetic kind of nightmare of really dark energy, because they both start to sort of coexist together and build.
Okay, look, I'm just thinking, you know, obviously with...
And then, I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
When that energy becomes really strong, what happens, and then they begin to draw in diabolical entities, demonic entities that support that energy. So then you've got bad energy between, say, two human beings that have then brought in demonic beings that fester that energy, that, feed it, and then it can become like a psychic war.
That's pretty disturbing.
It's very disturbing, but very real.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering if, like, when you see things like war happen in the world, is that because obviously there's cycles of war, and I guess that's because, you know, different factions, countries, leaders, whoever they are, there's so much hate and resentment, and people get stuck in, they cannot move on from that hate and resentment, and so this cycle of war and continues.
And we as a human species need to break it. We need to stop creating wars. Soldiers need to say no more. If no one supports the wars anymore, then there can't be wars. But while people are supporting it, while we have people who are willing to go to war and kill their fellow humans, we will never come out of these cycles. See, we create, again, cycles. We create realities where we're at war with each other, not just on a personal level, but as you say, with our fellow humans, other countries. So this is things that we need to learn to break away from and start creating more peace on earth.
Yeah.
If we are to go on existing, because we're getting to a point where, you know, unfortunately there's a lot of good on the planet, but the scales are now tipping where there is also too much negativity going on, too much warring, anger and hatred. And if those scales keep tipping, you know, where we get out of balance, then we're going to have one heck of an unhappy world.
Absolutely.
And we will never know peace. And the sad part about it is that our children, their children will never know peace. Once those scales tip, that we have more warring and hatred on the planet than we do peace, then what happens is we begin to disconnect from Creator God, and we begin to bring in more and more of these demonic entities that work through people. Because again, demonic entities cannot do any harm to anybody unless they have a conduit to work through. So the more as a human species we disconnect from the good and the peace and the love and light that God intended for us, and the more we start to connect in with hatred and anger and warring, the more we're going to draw in and feed the demonic realms, feed these dark entities, and then they will amplify, and it will become again another loop of constant unrest, disharmony, and, you know, extinction, where we will end up killing each other.
Well, sadly, it seems like it's going that way. But it all comes down to a personal choice. Like each person has to make the choice. I do not want to be a hateful person.
Exactly.
I want to be. I mean,
take responsibility for yourself. Again, it comes down to each and every one of us being able to heal our wounds, stop this hating. No matter what anyone's done, we have to be able to get to a point where you can at least make peace with it.
Yeah.
Now, I know sometimes things that have been done to people are absolutely unforgivable, but you can come to a place where you can make peace with it, and you can heal, where you're not allowing yourself to be consumed by that particular experience.
Yeah.
Because everything is like a domino effect. So if we're in this place of anger and disharmony, then that moves on to our children, to their children. And so we, and at the moment, the way I'm seeing, you know, we are a very wounded species where all of us are carrying so many wounds from our past, from our childhood, from whatever. And this is why this planet is in the state it's in. And people come to me and they want to hear, is everything going to be okay? Do you think things are going to go back to normal? Well, no, because we have created this mess. And each one of us has to face this simple fact that the state of the world is a reflection of our own inner world.
It's our responsibility.
It absolutely is. But there's an opportunity in this to heal, to bring love, to bring light into our own hearts and spread that out, heal our families, heal our children, and then that is an energy that we emit out into the planet. And when we lift our heart energy and we become higher frequency beings, then we're able to lift the next person and and that can grow. But we all must, this is such an important time to take that kind of responsibility, because too many people are waiting for the Savior to come in and save us. But there is no Savior coming to save us. This is on us to repair, to heal. We are the Saviors. We have it in us to completely turn this around and bring peace into this planet and refuse to participate in wars and hatred and anger, or we don't, and we will become prey to some really horrific and dark forces.
And just a note on forgiveness as well, because I think that a lot of this really comes down to forgiveness, and it's forgiving others, and it's even forgiving yourself for things you may have done in the past. It's like a release. It's a releasing of negative energy. And just in my personal situation, like, you know, I've gone through some terrible things in my life, and the way that forgiveness works for me, and I think this is really important, is people should not think of forgiveness as saying what that person did was okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. What forgiveness really is saying, I'm letting go of this.
I believe what is needed on this planet, and the ultimate, I don't want to say lesson, but the ultimate divine experience we could bring into this world is that we give up this existence, this coexistence of duality, of being able to become consistent in our emotions and living through the vibration and frequency of our hearts, rather than living through the anger, which is all part of the ego, living through anger and living through, you know, negative thoughts and revenge and anger and resentment. If we could simply begin to feel from our hearts, speak from our hearts, and nurture our heart center, then we could leave the duality behind and then begin to exist on this platform of love and light and harmony, and we would heal each other, and we would heal the planet and everything else that exists on this planet, because we, again, through this duality that we are experiencing, we are also destroying our planet. We are destroying nature. We are destroying other species that are here to exist with us on this planet. And this is because of the duality of, you know, I believe that at heart we are all good. We are good, wholesome creations, an aspect of God. But unfortunately we have bought in through the programming this our own shadow self, our dark side, where we are able to also, just like we're able to create beautiful classic music and paintings, and we're also able to create really dark and make really dark, you know,
expressions.
Exactly. Like, thank you.
Yeah, like music. Well, music, art, anything.
It can be really dark.
Yeah.
And we can create and spread this darkness, like almost like a disease.
Yeah, I mean, look, maybe I'm being naive, but in my experience, you know, I do believe that. I do believe that at heart, everyone is a good person, and I think it's our natural state to be open and loving, and everyone's closed off. Like, I mean, maybe I'm just like a completely naive hippie here, but like, I would love it if everyone's attitude when you met them was more just like you instantly assume they're a good, kind person, and you greet them with love, and they greet you with love. I mean, imagine a world where we just walked around saying "I love you" like openly and easily, like in the same way.
Lovely, yes.
In the same way of saying "How's the weather?" or "How you doing today?" It's like, "Hey, nice to see you. Love you. How are you?" Like but it feels weird and foreign to say, because we're all closed off from.
Well, we've all been programmed to carry out this duality of one day will be nice and another day will be horrible. If we can become aware to not slip into the duality and try and remain consistent, we can begin to heal and change reality that's we've now manifested and created on this planet.
And people don't understand how powerful they are, because everyone has
very powerful.
If every single person made that choice today, I'm going to focus on being in my heart and being a kind, loving person. I'm going to reject the darkness or dark thoughts or dark actions that may tempt me or may come into my mind. I'm making this choice to do this. If everyone decided to do that, it would transform the world overnight. And that might sound like fantasy, but
no,
it's true.
What is needed.
It's the truth.
Yeah, because everybody at the moment is quite worried and concerned about the future of this existence. But it's up to us where it goes. It's up to each and every one of us, and that it's up to how we think, how we feel, the words we speak. This is what will create our future and a new timeline where we can walk in peace. Or if we do nothing about it, then it's quite clear that this timeline will take us down a very difficult journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's not going to be a quick fix.
And that's it. And like you said before, it's like I think people are looking for an outside magic fix for climate change, war, famine, you name it. Whatever the problem is, people are always looking for an external solution. They will fix this. This will be fixed by this is someone else's problem.
Yeah.
We all think that any issue is going to be solved by somebody else. And what people don't realise is by making choices in their life, if we all did that, that's the solution right there.
But we're also influenced by these demonic forces, these dark forces that want to keep humanity suppressed. So many times people are thinking or receiving thoughts that are not their own.
Right.
And this especially happens when people tend to be more on that negative kind of vibration and frequency, so they're very susceptible to that programming or that suggestions of the dark forces. Because obviously this is a war of the light and the darkness, so each side wants to win.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we'll wrap it up there, but having said that, there's so much more we could talk about.
Oh, absolutely.
The war between the light and the dark, even the curses and the witchcraft and the black magic. There's a whole lot more to talk about there. But hey, we've got plenty more episodes to discuss, so we will do that.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, Kat. It's always, illuminating, and I always learn, new things every time we chat, which is a joy. So
wonderful.
Yeah. So next time we will discuss more and go deeper into things. And we thank you for tuning in. And if you haven't followed, subscribed, liked us on whatever platform you are either watching or listening to us, please do. And we look forward to seeing you again in another episode of the Australian Ghost Whisperer.
Thank you.